Alright, let's dive into something that's been making headlines lately: global food prices hitting a 3-year high. But here's the thing, it's not just about numbers on a chart. What makes this really interesting is the perfect storm of factors driving it: heat waves, wars, and even El Niño. Personally, I think this is one of those moments where we need to step back and ask, what does this mean for the average person? And what does it tell us about the fragility of our global systems? First off, let's talk about the heat waves. Europe just had its hottest June on record, and farmers had to destroy 9 million tons of crops. That's not just a statistic, it's livelihoods, it's food security, it's the bread on your table. What many people don't realize is how interconnected these systems are. A heat wave in Europe doesn't just affect Europeans, it ripples through global markets. Wheat prices jumped 5.8% in July, and that's not just because of one bad summer. It's because these extreme weather events are becoming the new normal, thanks to climate change. Now, let's layer in the conflicts. The war in Ukraine has been disrupting Black Sea exports for years, and the Iran conflict is now threatening the Strait of Hormuz, which is a critical route for fertilizer shipments. If you take a step back and think about it, this is a double whammy for farmers. Not only are they dealing with unpredictable weather, but they're also facing higher costs for essential inputs like fertilizer. This raises a deeper question: how much more can our food systems take before they break? Sugar prices are another wild card here. They jumped 5.6% in July, partly because of weather fears but also because Brazil, the world's largest sugar producer, is diverting more sugarcane to ethanol production. From my perspective, this is a classic example of how policy decisions in one country can have global consequences. It's not just about sugar in your coffee, it's about the trade-offs we are making between fuel and food. One thing that immediately stands out is the contrast between rising prices for staples like cereals and sugar, and falling prices for meat and dairy. Meat prices dropped 2.8% in July, which might sound like good news, but it's actually a red flag. High temperatures are slowing livestock growth, and dairy prices are down because of lower demand for butter and milk powders. What this really suggests is that even within the food sector, there are winners and losers, and it's often the most vulnerable who suffer the most. Speaking of vulnerability, the UN's World Food Programme warns that 50 million people could be pushed into acute hunger by next year, largely because of El Niño. This isn't just a number, it's a humanitarian crisis waiting to happen. Personally, I think this is where we need to connect the dots. Climate change isn't just about polar bears or melting ice caps, it's about food, it's about stability, it's about lives. So, where does this leave us? In my opinion, this isn't just a temporary blip. It's a wake-up call about how fragile our food systems are in the face of climate change and geopolitical instability. What makes this moment so critical is that it's not just about higher prices at the grocery store, it's about the deeper vulnerabilities in our global supply chains. Here's my closing thought: if we keep treating these issues as isolated problems, heat waves here, wars there, we are missing the bigger picture. This is all connected, and it's all pointing to the same truth: we need to rethink how we grow, distribute, and consume food. So, what do you think? Are we doing enough to address these challenges, or are we just kicking the can down the road? Let me know in the comments, I'd love to hear your thoughts.